make sure this.
Yeah. I don't have to be too long.
Okay, this is Marcia Seligman, and I am calling this meeting to order. And it looks like we have all committee members, so we will take a roll call, right? And I will say Marcia Seligman here.
Steve Ferguson here.
Holly Payne here.
Phyllis Wybell here. Denise Stevens here.
Okay, so we do have our agenda, and I will indicate that, yes, we called this meeting to order. Number 2, there was proof of notice and approval of the agenda. It was posted in our mailroom on the bulletin board. And right now we have got the first item on the agenda are the rules and regulations that have currently been passed by the board. So if you look at your packet, your first packet would contain the red line of the rules that were approved by the board of directors at the meeting in November 2000. Oh, was it December 2025?
Yep.
So basically, these are rules, and I have read them and gone through them. And basically, the only question, because Steve was the chairperson last year, the only question I have has to do with the electric bikes. They do not seem to be addressed in the rules, and I'm not sure whether or not, as long as we're going to be enforcing the rules, whether or not we should address electric bikes and how are they being charged, and do we have any concerns about them being charged in an owner or lessee's apartment?
You're saying last year's rules committee leader did a terrible job? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what she said.
No, we did discuss that.
We discussed it.
It was you.
I think we left it sort of vague, and because we were looking for more information. I think that's what it was, because I believe you have one, right? Yeah. So because I believe that we were trying to figure out what, if any, kind of Florida statutes there is about having those in your apartment.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that got done before we passed the rest of the rules. So it'll have to be something that we're going to have to, if you want to discuss that, we're going to have to get some more information, because
Correct.
I don't really know any more than I knew last year about it. So I mean, David might be the person to talk to about that because he has one. So, but
Correct.
other than that, I don't have anything to add to that. So,
Okay. So the only comment I have about that is Denise made a comment that in New York City, it's illegal to charge your,
Certain batteries.
yeah,
They're
certain
stopping
batteries
you from
are
right there. Going
illegal.
up, I guess the knockoffs.
Yeah.
That are putting up these buildings on fire, and people are dying, so I
Right.
don't know what they do out here.
So we,
There's, as usual, Florida has a little bit of a wild west on this matter.
correct.
There's no limitation. They view it as basically charging your phone or charging anything. Anything is portable, or your laptop or whatever it is, anything is portable, it has batteries in it. They view it as the same thing. You have to make sure it's genuine cables, it's whatever it is, whatever is required in order to charge it properly, like
Okay,
ad hoc. And also there's rules about like extension cords, but that falls into other things also.
correct. So let's say you're from Toronto, correct? So in Toronto, I don't know what they say if you live in a multi-unit building, a condominium. I don't know if they have any rules regarding electric bikes, and how are people supposed to charge them? We do have chargers across the street now. I haven't,
That's what cars do, not for-
yeah. But what I'm saying is, would you mind looking into it and
Sure.
proposing
Sure.
something regarding electric bikes?
Sure.
I would check with our insurance carrier to see what they allow us to
It's
for
smart.
coverage.
That is a very good idea, absolutely.
Did you see number 9?
Most people have electric bikes.
Look at 9.
People are very.
Annual fee, parking fee.
They get plugged in. Still have.
Number 9.
Hold on. What page?
I'll definitely ask you.
10, okay. That helps.
You know, keep the bikes in the garage rather than keep the bikes on the front.
Yes, but it doesn't say electric bike.
Could that be like slash electric bikes?
Yeah, I mean, when we deal with this, we're gonna modify the rule. Okay, does it, yeah, you're, and that could be, I know, but you're right. It does go throughout the agreement, and that is a good point with regard to
Number
page 10, paragraph 9 of the markup of the red line. So, thank you.
Yeah.
So when do you think you could get back to us with your thought?
10 minutes.
You know what? Give me 10 minutes, yeah.
I'll look up the office. But I
Okay,
think
okay.
insurance carrier
You know,
should be
let's
back.
say,
I just caught an
let's
email
say
from
by
Scott.
the end of the week, if
We
you,
ask Scott to ask the insurance carrier, we'll have our answer.
Right.
It's not a liability
yeah, but
issue.
it's probably not, because they allow, you know, the trickle down to charge. I don't,
True.
you know what, I think our
Right, so this would be a
we're
different thing.
charging our phones, we're charging our,
Battery's different.
I
No, it's
agree.
still better, it's still better.
Same battery, it's a phone battery?
Same exact same battery.
Okay, But,
you have a non-
you know, the insurance, who knows what, you know, our liability, okay, sorry.
Pam has a question.
Homeowners to register their e-bikes.
Well, that's another part of the whole process of, let's try to address electric bikes, because more and more people have them. We do address
My neighborhood.
yes, especially, yes.
Are we
Especially
asking
since
people-
circuit never comes.
Are we requiring people to register regular bikes also?
Yes, and we are charging them a fee
Now-
downstairs.
Downstairs, okay, so
Yeah.
if someone keeps the regular bike upstairs,
We
we don't
don't
know about
care,
it and we don't care.
right.
We're not charging a fee for bikes,
Oh,
We're
and
up against the wall, if you.
or in the bike rack.
oh, but we make them register,
Yes, they still have to
so
register.
we don't
Just have to
charge a
register.
fee. But we
Just to
do,
make sure that if people are here, their bike is here, and if people aren't here and their bike is here, we just get rid of it. So,
okay, but
yeah.
we do charge a fee,
For the, for the
for
charge.
an annual parking fee of 500 will be charged for motorcycles, motor scooters,
Right,
and mopeds.
that's a completely different thing than e-bikes.
Okay,
That's if you take a parking spot.
Right.
You need a parking spot for some, because you can't park those in the.
Correct.
In the bike racks, I guess.
Right.
correct,
Yeah. So
correct.
there's a specific place for people to park their motorcycles.
So I'm gonna make a suggestion, if you want to take apartments, use the freight elevator.
Yes, that's a, you know what,
Let them know because they'll stretch it.
freight elevator.
The only problem I would say with this, and this is a good point, there's been many times I've pressed the freight, pressed basically the elevator when they're all connected. And I waited
doesn't
for the
come.
freight elevator, it didn't come, then the other one came. I sent the other one, I had to actively send the other one to 28 and I waited for the freight elevator, still didn't come, I had to send it, so you end up waiting like half an hour.
Well, that's what? You want a bike? You gotta wait for the
No,
freight elevator.
no, but that's not it. That's not the point. The point is that the freight elevator should be on a separate thing. It should never change. Because if we're requiring people to take stuff up in the elevator, that the freight elevator should be available all the time, not trying to guess whether it's gonna come or not. So.
What they do is they link them together.
Exactly, but like I told Scott, that they don't need to be linked together because we need the freight elevator when we need the freight elevator.
So do the pet people.
Yep, I
Would it be not that?
I have mentioned that to him, but I will mention that to him again. so.
Yeah, and the only time they should be linked is when a couple elevators are down. We understand that.
Yeah.
We're gonna experience that, for a while, until Steve fixes it. So, so going on to the next topic. I thought the rules and regs were pretty clear. I just had a couple cleanup things, but does anyone have any comments on the rules and regulations?
Have the cars been dressed
Carts?
blue and the black?
Not specifically, just the carts have been addressed to return them. But do you have do you have questions regarding the carts that
People bring the
we,
carts down, especially the blue ones. They bring them down elevator 6 and then they leave them there.
oh yeah,
I
that
mean,
we
it's
know.
ridiculous. The other day, I wheeled 2 of
We
them
have,
because it's.
it's just.
Yeah,
you're not
people
gonna
are
be able to
just,
fix that.
but that has to do with
It's not gonna.
the next committee, which is the enforcement committee.
Correct.
So that's a finding
Oh, I
of
love the
that.
people who just put them on the elevator.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice.
Well, then the people that leave it right out in the elevator lobby too. So it's just one of those things that, you know,
We should make sure all the big blue carts, which the board, I guess, voted on months ago, are taken out of circulation.
No, I disagree.
that's
I
I
disagree.
gave Steve, just, for owner use, I gave, not Steve, Scott. The black wagons we have, I gave him about a year ago, recently, a picture of a blue cart or a cart, the same size as the black one, with one basket.
Oh, perfect.
That would be the same length, just one basket, so owners can use that.
I'd support that. Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
continue moving on that because
because
those
that
little
was,
black carts, you can get
Right.
nothing in,
I-
and
I thought the board had discussed that last year and approved that we were gonna get rid of the blue ones, but we were gonna get ones that were
Yes.
just.
I like that.
no follow-up. So
Right,
I would
right.
like to take on that project.
So let's put that on our
I have
meeting.
the-
Let's put that on our meeting this week with
I
Scott.
already have the pictures. Yes, I would love to do that.
Okay,
Can go guests or just the board, the committee members, when you said if anybody had anything?
no, of course, I meant you as well.
Okay, well, the agenda it says that other people are wait.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not following the agenda.
You are, but it's-
Okay,
he's talking about something else.
Are you talking about another topic?
Well,
You're talking about the rules. If you're talking about the rules, this is
Yeah.
where, yes, yeah.
because at the agenda it said
Yeah.
member or
Yeah.
guest comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had several people, meaning more than two, express concern about the way the video doorbell camera rule that was passed was written. It didn't seem to reflect the will of the people at the meeting, and I even provided our building management the exact hour and minute call out about how it was discussed. So as I recall, it was discussed in September, and it seemed like the majority of the people, including several board members, were against having the video camera, particularly at the main tower, where people's units are straight across. And it seemed like the majority opinion was against having it placed directly on the face of the door, looking across. But then when the rule was written, likely by Donna Berger,
Not us. We didn't do it.
oh,
that the rule stated that you almost implied that the default location would be directly across. And it seemed to be directly contradictory to all the discussions. And to me, that would be very simple to change that language. I don't think you'd need an attorney to write it. So I just wanted to bring that up, and there's
what
been.
page is that on in the
not.
rules?
It's not.
Oh, okay,
You're right, Brooke.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
It's an independent rule that was
Correct.
okay.
passed
Yeah.
by.
And
It wasn't us.
Yeah,
Should
there's
that be
no-
added?
Right, but
Yeah,
Then
They're
it's
not
gonna
having
be added.
that's why I asked if it was okay for me to talk right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Me as a layperson, it said rule of committee, and that was a rule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that there's one homeowner, and it makes me sad when I hear this, because I know one homeowner expressed to me how they hired an attorney to write letters to the board, and they're just very upset because for literally months, this thing looks across, and I think it's just, okay, it sounds like
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brooke. That was something that was discussed at a board meeting. We, on the rules committee, didn't write
we
anything.
talked about that.
Yeah, we didn't write anything for them, but I mean, we can take a look at that because I mean, what Donna Berger had wrote was like pretty specific, like it has to be 18 inches from,
51 inches,
Yeah.
but the top had to be 51.
yeah, so I think we could probably take another look at that to probably get something into the actual rules and regulations instead of just a board thing.
Well,
So we'll look at that though.
That's a good point.
well, I think I would recommend at the next meeting you pass an interim rule. I don't know, I guess the people who are anyways, and then there's also the issue of it being angled, and I actually showed Steve a picture and he
Yeah.
agreed that
It can't be
Mr.
straight across.
Gasparis is correct that his neighbor has it angled slightly. although it appears like it was on a mount that was provided by the manufacturer, so I could see where a homeowner could install it and think that what they were doing was, for lack of a better
Well,
word,
good point,
kosher.
and thank you for
And
educating.
So that's, but again, there's one homeowner who just is very
Yeah.
disturbed about it, although they're in New York for a couple more weeks.
Very good, but we will definitely look at that
And my,
because,
my other one is that I still think, I see people using the building in ways that are different than the rules. And I just feel like if the majority of people are violating the rule, then maybe it's not that the people are wrong, but maybe the rules should be liberalized. And specifically, with that wall in front of the parking space and the use of parking space, somebody's had a cart in their parking space, which is technically illegal. I think it should be legal. And I'd also recommend that we consider allowing people, that we choose a standard type tough box. And if somebody wants to have the standard type tough box cabinet on their wall, I think that that would be reasonable, because I still see people using that.
what is that, Brooke?
Well, there's like a plastic storage cabinet.
That they have on the wall in the
No,
garage?
they don't now. Right
Oh.
now, what the default is, they just choose to put it, some people put it in the box. One person just throws it on the ground and leaves it there for a couple of weeks.
No, I mean, like when,
Yes, he means a box
The
that
closet.
any owner can install on the wall
yeah,
to store things in the parking spot.
Okay,
Because I-
but that's common area, and
that's,
any changes to the
Yeah,
common
that's-
area.
Well, but again, we let people store their bicycles. We don't it's a
Yep.
little tougher with the wheelchairs now.
That's not stationary.
Yeah.
Bicycle is stationary. It's
So-
like people.
Okay, that's all
Why
I'm
is there
saying.
remove
All I'm saying is that when I observe people violating that rule, and I've been speaking about that rule for 5 years, and again, I just don't understand why it is that we're adamant that the rule is that way if so many people violate it for literally
I agree.
over
I agree
5
with-
years.
Okay, and I agree with you, and that's
Okay.
And
policing.
that's- Are they gonna
Policing.
Okay.
Security,
right.
They gonna
Similarly,
doing, patrolling and doing their jobs.
similarly,
That's your issue.
Similarly, there's another rule that I did a survey and I provided Todd the survey results. And literally, there's only 4 floors that don't have owner supplied hallway decorations. And for 5 years, I've requested that we liberalize the rule. And I just observed if there's only 4 floors that are following the thing, that means there are 24. And that's like a 90% majority. And again, I just think that people should liberalize it.
So just so you know, Brooke, when we're doing the hallway renovations, that will not be, the rule was taken out as far as owner decorations. So that when we do the hallway renovations, it will all be uniform. Every single hallway will be uniform.
I like that idea.
There will be no owner added art or anything else. So
Well, but
All the art, hallways now, they're all full of mold. They need to be taken down.
Yeah.
so I mean, that's what,
But that is a good point.
anyways, again, it's
Just
just
trying to straighten
for 5 years, I've wanted hallway decorations. I followed the rule. Well, as I say, 90% of the people have had the luxury of enjoying hallway decorations
Well, I don't
when
know.
I haven't. And I think, and so then my last thing is particularly on floor 10, and I showed Todd this, is we continue to have this rule in our rule book that says that you're not supposed to have stuff on the floor outside your doors.
I just saw this today.
And, somebody has literally for 5 years, and I put in a written inquiry and I said, hey, why is this? They have like bamboo posts that are 7 feet. And then if you go to the equivalent to the 709 stack where I lived, I lived in the 709 stack, and I just wanted to put a piece of artwork on my thing. And again, I had Donna Berger writing me saying that she was going to take away my privileges and stuff unless I followed the rules. And that there's an equivalent unit that literally has statues. They have 2 statues. They have credenzas.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Brooke, I understand what you're saying, That's why we're now gonna start the enforcement
I
committee.
just want to again emphasize.
No, I
that if-
agree with
no,
you.
But if we're gonna have in our rules a thing that says the fire code doesn't allow blah, blah, blah.
And it doesn't.
And
we
it
do-
doesn't,
And we do allow it, it seems to me that when people talk about all this, oh, liability here, liability there, I can't think of any greater liability than having this. And quite frankly, if you read about what happened in Surfside, you'll actually find out why it is important to have those things, because you just never know when this building or any building's going to have an issue or have an Iranian drone hit us or anything where we might want to escape versus be boggled down in some of these
decoration,
7-foot belt.
I agree.
I mean, you're right. That floor 10 is not the only floor. I've
Yeah.
walked around the building and I have seen,
Well, but that kind of been the
I'm
most
just saying, but
egregious.
10, yes, okay, but I've seen rugs outside the doors.
Yeah.
I've seen flower pots. I've seen it.
Yeah,
So
that's
either we're gonna
why.
enforce it once and for all, or you're not.
Right, and
We are.
again, as I say,
You can't have
it's,
both double standard.
I put in written inquiries that have been certified and received, and I just, again, it just boggles.
Yes, well, you know,
I'm not-
bureaucracies. Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah,
much.
My little.
No,
We
got-
No, thank
appreciate
you.
that. And one of the things that we, Denise and I are meeting with Scott on a weekly basis, and one of the things that we're gonna be talking about is exactly what you're talking about rule enforcement, because I mean, like you said, if this isn't the rules, then they should be enforced, and this is, it is a violation. Unfortunately, what happens too is those violations a letter gets sent out, they get so many days to correct. Another letter gets sent out if they haven't corrected, and then another letter gets sent out if they haven't corrected that said, if you do not complete this, then it will go to the board for thing, and then it will go to the planning committee. So we are aware that there are people violating the rules. That is one of the things for this year. As me as the board president is really, I mean, I spent 2 years helping write the rules, and I'd like to see them enforced.
And then on Sunday evening, I saw a kid about yay high who's gone clothing optional.
Yes.
And I saw the same
We know.
yesterday morning.
Really, yesterday morning too?
Now, personally, it's.
A naked
First-
kid.
Was it in the lobby or in the?
These, didn't even want to go there.
Is that the pool?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait,
I don't see the.
And,
clothing in the pool is required?
and.
Okay,
now,
we'll
coming-
clarify that.
Coming from Seattle, I actually am okay with clothing optional, but again, if we're gonna go clothing optional, I'd say we do it everywhere.
Thank you very much. We all know that rules need to be enforced.
Gotta move to the south side.
And so therefore, we understand that, because if you don't enforce them, then you
That's
have
your
new
problem.
rules.
Just
Yeah.
like this.
And this
Right.
is all for nothing. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted
This
to
is-
touch upon a point that we just discussed regarding the bikes. So I knew that, I just need to confirm, in general, there's 3 types of e-bikes.
Okay,
One, I'm not gonna go through the different types, you guys can
Okay.
research it.
Just the lithium battery.
1, 2, and 3, no, class 1, 2, and 3. The third one is considered like a real motorbike. Some of them need to be registered as a vehicle, as an actual vehicle and registered. Most of them are class 2. That's most, it's pedal assisted, whatever it is, they all contain batteries. And there's no regulations whatsoever in Florida regarding class 2 and below, so. 1 and
Okay.
2. There's no regulations in terms of what you want to do. HOAs need to regulate their own thing. In terms of insurance now, insurance doesn't look at class 1 or 2 any different than they look at a bike. So if you look at a bike, if it's stolen, if you want to have your own insurance for your bike, no problem. Class 3 already goes into a different category. We might want to say class 3 needs to be registered and parked only in the garage, which is fine. However, I just want caveat for it is class 3 doesn't look any different from class 2. So I don't know how we're gonna regulate that
okay,
unless we ask owners, hey, listen, we need to do this if you have a class 3. And I think some owners might not even know what they have.
correct.
Yeah, so
So is a class 3, like, would it be gasoline assisted as
no,
well?
no, all
Oh, they're all
battery,
just,
all
all
battery.
of them are all battery?
Yeah,
Is
that's
it just
that's
like
one
the
of the bike.
size or something?
No, it's the speed, exactly. So
Oh.
class 3 is 28 miles an hour and
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Class 2 is 20 miles. Class 1 is up to 10 miles.
Okay.
Pedal assist, no pedal assist, it
Yeah.
all goes into different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
So
perfect.
do they take
Perfect.
different batteries?
So what,
Do
sorry?
they take different batteries?
And get different speeds.
No, the same batteries, just different motor,
Right.
different capabilities for the bike. Some of them have two batteries maybe.
so may I ask you to put this down in just a brief
Yeah,
memo?
Sure,
And also give us your proposal, what you think.
sure.
You know, I really love your
No
thoughts on this, because
No problem.
not only are you an owner,
Yeah.
but you just clarified something I had no idea. Class
Yeah,
1, 2,
exactly.
and 3.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, because I do think they need to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay, so other than that, the next item on the agenda is, I do have some clarifications on these and, you know,
Yeah.
but doesn't
Yeah,
really,
just let me know, because if it's just like simple warning, we don't have to take it back to the board, just.
Right.
We can just make the change, but
you know,
if it's gonna actually change the rule, then we have to go back to the board.
right,
So-
I'm just confused to who's a visitor, who's a guest. I'm a little confused about family members, because family members do not stay consistent through the life of your ownership.
Yeah.
They change.
Yeah, but you can-
Bosses,
You
yes,
can change your thing in the
Right.
office.
but it doesn't say
Anytime.
that.
Anytime.
I know.
I think it just captures.
So what I'm just, and
Yeah.
then they talk about minors, if there's differences, without clothes.
Okay.
And then they talk about minors with clothes. I think if you're under 3, clothes would be optional.
Yes.
Not in the pool, it is never optional in the.
No, not in the pool, because you have to wear, well, I don't know.
I think it's it's pretty specific in the rules
Okay.
about what you have to wear in the pool, so.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
babies, even babies.
Even
it's very
babies.
specific.
Oh,
about what you have to-
especially those, no peeing in the
No,
pool.
it was warmer than usual.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for letting us know that, a little bit embarrassing. And, okay, so other than that, does anyone have any more comments on the rules that they saw that something was missing or needed clarification?
Was the email that we got about the parking decals, for only one car?
Yeah.
Explain that.
What do you mean?
So you only
everybody-
get one if you only have one parking spot,
If
you
you only
get,
have one parking spot, so if you're leasing another spot,
yes.
that where you're parking here, you get one as well.
Yeah, you
I
get 2.
One I leased my spot,
You
and
get,
that's in the,
yes,
windshield.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll get 2.
No, it's not in the windshield, you have to put the parking pass in the windshield, but the sticker goes on your headlight. You just have to make sure the office knows that you're doing
Okay.
that.
but we have 2 cars and I have another sticker on my car.
Oh, yeah, so as long as you have a sticker, that's fine.
Yeah.
To open the gate, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be right, that was confusing to
Yeah.
me, some of the parking things, and I'm just gonna write an email to
Okay.
you
All right.
regarding that.
Yeah.
So,
For-
Cause I didn't write that one.
Okay, for clarification.
Yeah,
'cause it
Scott
was-
wrote,
Okay, it
for
was,
services wrote that.
it was
You
confusing.
see it on your headlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
so that's a good one. Just one thing to remember is some owners, we're like that, have a different place that they live in as well. And they have vehicles there and, we choose to come with different vehicles every time, depends on who drives the vehicle. And we have our own parking spots here. So maybe some owners might need more than one decal to register, depends on whatever vehicle they come in. Because if they come in with a different vehicle,
Then
then,
you can get a temporary pass.
Yeah, you get a
Do
temporary pass.
then what? Then the process is every time to go
Yeah.
in and get a temporary pass?
Because you
Yeah.
can come in, then you'll have 6 cars in here. Nobody will, there's no.
Six
there's
cars
no-
where?
If your apartment's registered, you have 1 spot, you should have 1 car. If you have another car somewhere else.
No, but we have the guest parking. What are you talking about? Hold on.
Oh, he's talking about changing cars.
No, I'm talking about changing cars, not bringing all your cars here.
In the garage.
No, they
not in
have
the
different cars.
I don't know.
So.
Okay, I got you.
We have spots. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got it, okay.
Yeah, you have to get it has to be registered because you can only have one car in there at a time, so.
Yeah,
So it's just, they probably put you down with 2 and then if you say, this is the car I'm bringing this week. So because it won't open for you unless,
100%.
yeah.
100%, yes.
So they're charging you for that second. They're charging people when they turn in their car or buy a new car, they're charging you for a new vehicle.
It's 60, I think, are you sure it's 60? Yeah.
Yeah, but he can bring his other car and they'll give him a,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a different car.
and
They'll give them a temporary.
Yes, two
If
cars.
that was from the start, you know, when we started the decals or what, yeah, yeah.
You only have one
If
space.
you have one space,
Wait a minute. If he's allowed to register another car, then a person who lives here has one space, gets a new car, shouldn't have to pay for a new decal.
So the thing is this, so only one decal will work at a time. They both won't work. So he couldn't bring both cars in here. It would just be he has another car. So he would be able to bring that car in and the other one would be deactivated during the time that he had that one car here.
Is the question.
when you say decal, what do you mean? The
The
thing,
little-
the sensor thing? that
Yeah,
makes
the
you-
sensor.
Alright, so what
It
happened
shouldn't
is,
be.
when the system started, when we just phased into that system,
Right.
then they should have made the choice of whether to charge or not charge. Once that is done, once the system was installed, then there's new regulations decide if someone changes a vehicle, if someone doesn't change the vehicle. Then
Right, anyone who changes the vehicle has to pay a new decal.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be that way. Because you should be allowed to change cars.
Yes.
And you should be allowed to
Yeah,
get
I-
a new car.
I could have swore that was addressed in here.
Let's look. That's,
You have to pay for every single one.
Parking,
It's easy to.
Number 5,
To entertain new cars, and then it becomes basically a nightmare trying to police it. Police, well, today I'm gonna drive my Volkswagen, tomorrow I'm gonna drive my Cadillac,
No, but if you have the little doohickey, then it's not,
and it's registered.
yes.
But what's gonna stop, people always like to bend the rules,
yeah, so what's
so people like always bend the rules,
So what's
so
the-
if 2 cars are registered, what, you just mean they park it somewhere else, I've already had people
Where would
park
they
in my
park it?
spot.
Yeah, but you know what?
Once you charge for your first one, once you get your first one free.
Yeah.
Every single one you buy, regardless of the situation, you pay for it.
Yeah, so I don't understand. So how is the paying for a new vehicle gonna start what you just mentioned? Oh, it's two separate.
What I'm trying to say to you is, we have one spot and one car.
No, it says, let me just say this, the rule says a $50 fee will be charged to replace damaged or stolen gate stickers. It doesn't say anything about additional
That makes
cars.
sense.
Got an email that said every single decal that you buy, came from the office.
I don't remember
I don't
seeing
remember
that.
that either.
Yeah.
I remember the broken one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check with that because that rule makes sense.
So maybe it wasn't phrased properly.
Yeah.
That email.
Yeah.
look, bear a decal or temporary parking permit, that's on page 6.
Yeah,
Really?
and
I'll be honest, it just makes no sense.
Residents may occupy a visitor space on a short.
Right? I don't know.
Okay,
I
right.
don't know what happened with that. Who charged them? The office?
That way, if you lose your fob, you gotta pay for the rent.
yeah, that's different,
Yeah, because we have to pay for those, and those are not cheap.
yeah. different.
They're
Um,
$100.
We should
so
find
what,
out,
what page is
if
it on?
somebody gets a new car,
The,
are they charged for that new sticker?
They shouldn't be.
Because then somebody we know was charged.
Right.
yeah, they
They should
should
not
be.
be
And if
charged.
someone gets a new
It
car,
was
they
a
need to
new car.
register that car.
They knock your old sticker off and put it on a new one.
They-
Well, they were charged, so I think maybe they should be
Yeah,
reimbursed.
they should be reimbursed.
Maybe they should be.
I'm gonna make sure I follow that up. Yeah.
So what page is it on, Holly? I'm sorry.
6.
Page 6, okay. So it just talks about lost or damaged?
No, it's.
It says lost
okay.
or damaged. You'd have, it should say in that, well, if you get a new car, it's just going back in your spot.
Yeah,
So the sticker should be deactivated and a new one put on, and that's the end of
correct.
it. I mean, how many times you buying a new car?
Yeah, and how many times do you switch cars?
Right. Well, Thunderbolt's got charged $50.
Okay,
I wanna make sure.
deserves money back.
I will.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You found it in the rules, Steve?
Well, I
No, it's not the rule.
think like a lot of things we're finding out here is the devil's in the details. I personally thought it was atrocious that I had a fob that didn't work. And I took it to the office. They all agreed it didn't work, but I still had to pay $50 for a new fob.
Oh,
50,
That should not happen.
it was
That was with Marcel.
25.
Oh,
But
that
anyways,
makes sense.
but anyways, I'm glad it's changed. I will say that my understanding is that our current fobs really only cost like $1.20 each or so. I've researched it, and anyways, back when I did.
okay, well,
Yeah.
Also, doesn't matter. It's not just the
Yeah.
price of the.
It's like
But,
money.
But anyways, to the point is I think that this rule, and I think this is another rule we should, at some point this year, that this committee should look at, is I think of a lot of things, it's being reasonable. I think it's
Yeah.
reasonable to provide somebody with one sticker for a new car, but I don't think it's reasonable to provide them 5 stickers in a year if they quote unquote are talking about
Sure.
new cars.
Yeah.
So again, I would urge them to say
Reasonable.
something like that if you switch cars, because some people may buy a new used car, I would think that you could put a rule that would say, hey, 2 times in 2 years or whatever it is,
Twice
you
a
can
year,
have
yeah.
it done. The other thing that I think really needs to be an agenda item at some point this year is hardship exemptions on rental units. Because I know from the
Okay. Great.
swimming pool grapevine,
Yeah,
I've heard there's one homeowner who has had 3 hardship exemptions within a year. And to me, that's, I can understand, saying or the
being
rental,
able to
or
run
the rental unit.
before
To
the
me, it's
expiration.
reasonable to provide one hardship exemption in 2 years. But to me, it seems like just ridiculous.
So
And
this is a renter or an owner? I missed it. I'm sorry.
No, it really, what we're talking about is probably a owner who's renting.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yes.
Yeah, an owner who's renting, and the reason I also bring it up is I saw a rental listing where it said 1 year lease, but it also said
Right.
lease could be broken
Yeah.
shorter than that.
That-
And having traveled for
That doesn't work.
construction and
No.
seen,
No, that
Yeah.
never, I think that was last year. That was rejected.
Yeah, that doesn't
Somebody put
work.
that in a lease, I remember.
Because that
No,
means,
as I say, this was an advertisement that was on the internet.
okay, well, you
Believe
can't
it or not, I
police
don't,
everything.
I agree, you can't police everything. But again, based on my experience, having traveled for construction with other construction guys and women who confronted this and had all sorts of found weaselly ways to do it, is I know there's lots of weaselly ways to get around it. And while as I say, I think it's reasonable to allow a hardship exemption, but I think that we should just have it in the book. You're allowed one hardship exemption every 2 years, or maybe you allow 2 in a 3-year period.
Yes, and.
But
may
I think it should be spelled
I
out.
am an attorney, although I do not represent Playa del Sol. Reasonableness is always implied in every set of rules. Hardship is always an exemption if it's reasonable. So you really can't put in limitations on something. Everything has to be reasonable and non-discriminatory, and we can look at hardship on a case-by-case basis. We can't say you can only have 2 hardships in your lifetime. It doesn't work that way. There's the vagaries of life. So I understand what you're saying. If you have a specific example, please bring it to the attention of us, or someone who is misusing a hardship, that it may not even be a hardship, but as you know, even with paying taxes, where there is some wiggle room, there's always going to be a percentage of the population that uses that wiggle room to try to get around it. That's why more and more laws are passed to kind of, yes, and they're not necessary, I mean, they are what they are, but that's why more and more laws are passed to try to get around these loopholes. So nothing is perfect, as you know.
I just think, I'm
Okay.
surprised that we
But
couldn't.
thank you for that.
Surprised that we couldn't have that as a thing that.
Yeah,
Do in
It's
the
gotta be on
3-year
a case-
period.
yeah, I think we just have to look at hardship, disability, service animals, emotional support, just on a case-by-case basis. But if you know someone who is using that, who does not have a hardship, and is kind of pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, please bring it confidentially to the president of the board.
Someone writes an MLS as being a realtor.
Okay,
That's against.
Yeah.
They can report them.
yes,
It's against.
thank you very much.
It's against.
Okay, so,
Try anything they can.
Right.
yes, of course.
It's against the rules.
So going through this, Any, oh, I'm sorry. Does anyone have any more comments on the rules that they think something should be added or something is ambiguous or anything?
I have a set that I read myself. I think there's a few places where words are missing or should be added, just like something about it. I've marked them all down. I can bring it to you, just as the whole.
And then I will
Yeah, just.
give
get
them
it-
to Steve.
Just the English, just to
Yeah,
make
get
it
it,
more.
if you get it to me, like I said, if it's just wording,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't really change the,
Yeah.
then we can just, we can
We
make the
just give
change.
you- Can we give you one? Because I
Yeah,
found missing
yeah.
words.
Like I
I
said,
found where 12-year-olds are treated differently in other
12-year-olds
sections.
are treated differently because they're minor.
No, I understand that, but in one case,
Yeah.
it's recommended and the other case, it's prohibited. So I'm looking for consistency as well. So if we could,
I'll give
if
you
you can
some.
give them to me and we can give one set to Steve,
Yeah.
so you don't have to look at two.
Yeah, and I'll look at it before the next meeting, too,
Yes.
just so that, like I said, if it's just some word changes, then we don't have to take it to the board, but if it changes the meaning of the rule, then we have to. Yeah, yeah.
Certainly.
Is the fob, price in there, in the rules? Is the price of the fob in here?
I don't think so.
Because
In
I
the office
paid $100
for a new.
Well, it all depends.
2 years
Who was-
ago,
Who was,
2 years ago.
2 years ago? So
Pick it up in Winn
who was
Dixie.
in the office?
That's true.
Because.
And who took that $100?
Exactly.
No.
And did you pay cash like they used to make you do?
No,
Okay, well, whatever it is.
It was
um,
25. I just had it done because mine stopped working. They just charged me $25.
Yeah, they should charge a
If you
reasonable
start
fee.
stop working, they still charge you for it?
Yeah.
They try to reprogram them. They reprogram mine for me.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause they tried to, but it was dead.
But they will try.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do that.
they did. She did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in some respects, maybe that makes sense. I don't know. That money goes into the miscellaneous category and it looks like we're doing well in that category. So what can I say? Help defray some of our outrageous expense.
Like that social committee, geez.
Doing good.
Yeah, I mean, so much fun.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how many
Listen, we
people,
did a
I
karaoke.
know, I
oh,
know.
yeah.
I heard it was.
When you got men getting up,
You should include fobs on the menu as well. I'm pretty sure.
oh, yeah, oh, we can give them a free fob.
Oh
Then
my
you can think of it.
God, everybody will
Gift
show
card,
up.
Free fob.
Yeah, or like a premier parking space like you get for employee of the,
Yeah.
employee of the month. So going on our agenda, because I know
Where are we now?
you have things to do and people to see.
Credit on
so-
your maintenance.
So we discussed, the rules and regs and all comments welcome. And even if you think of things after this meeting gets adjourned, please, text me. I love text more than email. I don't care how long it texts. Let's talk about the changes to the declaration, articles of incorporation and bylaws. Because we do have a lot of comments from Playa del Sol's outside attorneys. And Phyllis was kind enough to give me her book with all of the Becker comments. So,
Alone.
oh, alone. And she came down to give it to me because I never made it up.
$25.
Yes. Everything's a fee these days.
I'm looking
Okay.
at the first one.
I'm surprised I didn't have to pay a rental for this room. Oh, by the way, I hope that's water in there. Can't we have, oh, that's a good question, as long as we're on the rules committee. Why can't people have food in the card, one of the card rooms? I remember my mother.
Floor.
Because
It's all over.
Okay, so people, okay,
that's the reason why.
okay, what if you bring your own
And
dustbuster?
that's the reason why.
Oh, no, but we have a clean crew. That's actually a fair question. We have a clean crew.
I mean, my mother used to have all of her
That is like,
girlfriends
you know,
over. They
If you
used
make
to
a mess
play
in your
cards.
house, you're responsible for cleaning it up. So, I mean, these people should be responsible for cleaning up, and the problem is people don't pick up after themselves and assume that somebody else is gonna
Okay,
do that.
do we have cameras in here?
Right there. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I.
Oh, right there.
Okay, so what I'm saying is,
But
Um,
the rule is none, so that makes it the simplest of all. The rule is none.
Well, wouldn't it be more fun if you could have coffee
Well,
and
so
eat?
here's the thing. So here's the thing. So, rules are made for the entirety of the building and rules are made so that, so that,
I'm gonna say rules are made to be broken.
no, I'm not saying that. And so the fact of the matter is rules are made for the general population. All right.
Correct.
So it's like, and so if you look at it as like, how many times have you gone by this room where there's actually been a light on? Or how many times have you gone by the south room where there's actually, a light on? The problem is that the people that come and use these, should be responsible for themselves. None of us have food here. So it's just one of those things. This is not a restaurant. This is,
Will you think about it though? I know it's not a restaurant. But if in fact I go to the park, let's say,
Yeah.
and I have a birthday party and I rent the space, I have all these rules and I'm supposed to clean up after
Yeah.
I bring a roll of paper towels,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying, because it would be more fun.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example.
This table's, I'm gonna take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Somebody
Jimmy.
moved the wood.
Let me give you an example. The grills. The grills are the prime example. People do not clean up after themselves on the grills. And the grills are something that everybody in the whole, well, a majority of people in the building use. Fact of the matter is, we do have rules that says the grills are supposed to be clean. However, they're not. So we are paying somebody now once a quarter to come in and do them a heavy duty cleaning on them, which we shouldn't have to do if people are cleaning up after themselves.
Well,
That's
I
cool. Figures
think
more money.
I have used
I
the
hear
grill.
you.
Okay, that's all I
hear you.
needed, for you to hear me.
I
Thank
hear you. I hear what you're saying, but it's
Okay.
like, and unfortunately, and the thing is, the rules are made because somebody did that and did clean up themselves. So if there's pretzels on the floor and we came in here and didn't know there's pretzels on the floor, so now all of a sudden we're stepping on them and.
No, I agree.
And getting into the
So
carpet.
they're not following the rule. I
But
understand.
just to follow that, if I'm here in the hallway, am I allowed to eat something
I don't know.
in the hallway?
Yeah, we don't
Like,
know.
rules say- Because I see the hallway and this exactly as one.
Yeah, they
If you're
don't
allowed
say
to-
you can't eat
If
in the
you're allowed to eat
hallway.
in the hallway, or you're allowed to like walk around with, I don't know, some snacks for your kids or whatever, and they keep dropping stuff, let's say.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I see this exactly as the same.
Are you cleaning up after yourself?
Well,
Or even if we do it for rental for one of the card rooms where where you can reserve it with food. How, would you
So-
consider that?
So,
Maybe.
An amenity that you have to reserve, because surely you're not.
Oh, you can't do that.
But why do we need?
Right.
Fort Knox.
No, that would be Fort Knox.
And like, let's say a ladies' tea or maybe not tea, ladies' water
Yeah.
social. I can't register it and say, no, I have this space.
But you
for
have the
this amount
space of
time.
rent to rent. You can always rent.
Yeah, but it's so
No.
expensive.
Sure.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
That's what I mean. It's just,
Deposit, if you don't clean up, you lose your deposit.
Yeah, and like one of the card rooms,
So-
will you think about it though?
Not just that, hold on a second.
No.
Hold on a second. Marcia,
No.
I just want to say that
Okay.
this is a perfect example of the fact that people made it 30 here, because
Yeah.
there's a rule that says no eating. They still brought something in. I mean, it doesn't matter how much let's say you enforce it and you say, okay, we're gonna start fining you if you bring food.
Mhm.
Some people we know here in the building, they're like, oh, fine me. So I'll take my chances. Worst case scenario, you find me, I still.
Yeah, we
manage
haven't
to eat.
signed anyone
So
yet.
the problem is we're adding
Yeah.
so many rules to the point that we're saying, wait, do we, first of all, enforce? Second, if we enforce it, are people even gonna care that we're gonna fine them $100 or $100 every 2
Yeah, they
weeks or
do
something?
care. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know, maybe eventually people will say, okay, maybe it's worth $100 for me to come. Instead of what you're saying, rent the room for $100, maybe a fine of $100 for me to eat here in case someone catches me.
But the,
How about
you
refundable?
you have to remember, you have to remember that the fines aren't without consequences. So when you get to a certain point, then you lose your access to the amenities of the building. So it's not like there's.
If you didn't pay.
Yes,
If you didn't pay.
If you don't
No,
pay.
no, I
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
But let's
Yeah,
you saying, I'll
he's
pay.
saying I'll pay
Yeah,
$100
$100, yeah.
so I can eat here.
The answer is still no.
Yeah, okay.
But it should be refundable. So
Here, let's just think, you know what?
If you don't clean up after
This
yourself.
isn't a park. This isn't, some kind of event center. You live here. Go eat in your own apartment.
No, but if you can eat in
Just to make it
the
more.
Ocean Lounge
It's
for
like your own place.
$300, why can't we just have a smaller venue?
See,
Where,
Finds if the rules are not enforced.
Right.
yeah,
No
that's a
matter
whole
if you came
different
in here and
story.
You wanted to eat pretzels and nobody was in here and you were eating your pretzels, great. If there's pretzels all over like here,
Yeah,
and they could look on the camera and see who was in the room
Yeah.
and no, identify that person, notify them.
yeah, we're gonna
Then,
start doing that.
then people will start to know things are happening. But until then,
Exactly.
no matter what you do,
No,
it's not
I
gonna matter.
understand. It's what you do now are the rules, because we're not enforcing.
And you're
them.
gonna get pushback.
I
because it's
understand.
just like kids.
Yeah, we know that, but I'm just saying, because these would be used, it's so much fun to have a lunch and play mahjong, like, who knows? I just wanted to, as long as we're here, I wanted to throw that out, to think about.
You can go to the promenade deck.
I don't wanna go outside.
That's the thing. Food is food.
Yeah,
Who's
I
the food
understand.
salad dressing?
I clean up so well.
yeah.
I'm a good cleaner,
Yeah.
so I understand.
That's you.
No, I know.
98% of the people-
But then you have to pay the,
So can we put in the rules that only Marcia is allowed to bring food in here? Is that? We agree on that?
that's pretty funny. Okay, moving on. So we're talking about, our, oh, I'm sorry, Beth.
I personally think that we ought to allow, back when I moved in, we were allowed to
Bill, I hope you're not
reserve
planning on eating this year.
the movie room. And I think if you're gonna allow people to, if we,
Popcorn.
if we are going to allow people to reserve the little tables outside of the barbecue, I don't see why it is we couldn't have the ability to reserve the, north card room, which is this one, the south card room, which is the other one, and the movie lounge for free, just like we allow people to reserve the tables outside. And I don't think it would be a huge, software change to do that.
Well, you know,
I ju-
that's
so
something to
here's-
propose.
Here's the thing, we could do that, but you still can't eat them here.
I didn't speak to you.
But you could do that, you could, make these.
But I was
reservable.
gonna say, I think at a future point that maybe there could be a conversation where, if you wanted to reserve without food, you just do it like you do.
But they're always empty anyway,
outside.
because
And
people,
maybe-
yeah.
And maybe.
I think you can do that now,
future-
can't you?
Right.
No, you can't request either of these rooms for amenities.
But aren't they empty because you can't eat
No,
in here?
If you
Oh.
come in and the ladies are playing mahjong and you want to come in and play table tennis or you want to come in and play pool, you're intruding on their space. They let you know it and you can say, I don't care, I'm going to play pool, but to be in a community, you usually will go what.
Why are they playing,
No,
why
it's
are
a
they
different
playing
room.
cards in the billiards room?
The other room.
Yeah,
They're separate.
Oh, they're separate.
Separate rooms.
Yeah.
But anyway, if they've got it occupied with a mahjong and you want to come in and start doing something else,
Yeah.
you're actually encroaching upon their time playing
I
mahjong.
understand.
They're taking 3 tables.
Okay, so
Well-
that's something we can address.
So one of the things that Denise and I have talked about during our meetings is that about how easy it is to change the amenities and building it too, because we're also looking at the whole umbrella thing for the beach too. So, but if it's gonna be like one of those things that's gonna take us a year to get, amenities added, but if it's just a simple thing where we're just adding amenities and people understand that they can reserve these rooms. And when they click on the amenities and, the pull down menu comes down, these rooms should be in that
They can plug it in.
situation where they could, so I mean, Denise and I have been talking about this because let's face it, building like is probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
I
Horrible.
don't
worst
think it's been utilized.
Yeah.
Well, because you
to the
can't
maximum.
find anything.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was,
Yeah, so I think that's one of our conversations to have, that we're gonna have with Scott about that, how,
Uh-huh.
how we can add amenities to that so that people can, and make it a little bit better. So it's like,
Yeah.
because it's true. People should be able to, if somebody had some family members over, let's say, you got 10 family members over, you want to watch a movie down in the movie room, and, you should be able to reserve that down in the movie room or here too,
I agree.
There's
So-
still no eating in that room.
Well,
It says no
no.
eating in the movie room.
No porn?
Nothing. Yeah, only water, which I don't
No, no, no,
understand,
water
but this,
here.
water's here, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know.
No,
that
the
there'd be-
movie room,
Oh,
no
really?
eating,
I
yeah.
know.
Which, how can you have a Super Bowl party when there's no eating? in the movie room, you have to do
Yeah.
the ocean lounge for, what is it
Right.
now, 300?
It's
Oh my God, what?
those two are connected?
300, huh?
The movie room and the ocean lounge aren't connected?
They are not connected.
Oh,
They're connected physically, but not connected in the contract.
Yeah, you can't open the
Correct.
doors and bring your drinks in there and like on happy hour.
oh,
They close. we
Yeah,
close
there is
doors.
no
Oh,
eating in the
oh.
movie room.
oh,
Can we change that one?
well, think about that.
Okay.
I will give that some consideration.
Okay,
Popcorn.
and also
Well,
just.
because you know what, if we know
Well,
who's in
no,
there,
you don't want to limit it
Put
to
up in a
pop.
deposit.
let's say this, if you know who's in there, you know, and so if you know who's in there and you go in the next day after there's somebody in there, then, you know who's in there. And, yeah, but I think it should be free, but I think that,
Yeah.
we need to, right.
Yeah,
Right.
and one card room
Right.
should be able to be reserved, not both, because
Right.
maybe in time both can be reserved,
So
but
the people that play
one.
cards twice a week can reserve that room.
Yes.
Tuesday and Thursdays from this time to this time, so.
And that's it.
Because I don't think anybody does now. I think people just, it's because
No.
there's very rarely anybody in any
Yeah,
of these
none of
rooms,
these
so they don't even,
Yeah,
but I
you
mean, I
can
think
eat
that,
them.
Yeah.
they don't want to eat.
Yes,
They
that's
know,
the
they
age.
have lunch ahead of
That's the
time,
age.
so.
Okay, moving on.
Unfortunately,
Um,
it's gonna be 1 o'clock right now.
I know, so we have to go, but did everyone review your prior, it's in your packet, the core documents, the articles, the
Yes, yes.
declaration, and I also looked at Becker's comments, and I think, all of them should be incorporated.
So I had talked to Scott, once we did the rules and regulations,
Okay.
that everything that the board approved through Becker
Yeah,
at a board meeting needs to be
incorporate.
like an addendum to the rules and regulations, so everybody has one spot to look for all of that information. So that's on the,
Like an
I wouldn't
amendment?
do so in other words, are you saying,
so what I'm saying is this, what I'm saying is, let's not make it any harder to find these things than we need to. So if we just add them to the end, it says, here's the end of the rules and regulations, board recommendations or board pass resolutions, and then that, but just make it part of that thing so that it won't be part of the rules and regulations, but it will be a separate thing.
okay, that
But,
sounds good.
but just, it'll be the same hyperlink, so
Okay,
you don't have to look around all over the place.
You talking about
So,
no,
we're talking about board resolutions.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already,
Yeah.
put in there, so we're ahead of them.
So, would you say these red line rules, before we end this, are these the full rules and regulations? Are we missing anything? Okay, so in other words, the limitations were never passed, that about pets stay the same, the rental stays the same.
Yes.
There's no restriction that only 25% of the units,
That's it.
not yet, okay. So these are our current
Yes.
real rules. Okay, perfect. So I agree about the addendum. Is Becker going to do it for us?
No.
Okay,
We have to, so Becker makes recommendations and then the board makes a resolution.
okay,
And so it will be the board's resolution.
okay.
Yeah.
That is gonna
Yes,
approve
yeah.
these
One-
Becker changes. Got it. Okay. Holly, do you have the changes requested by Becker to our core
I
document?
think I did.
You do? Okay.
I don't.
Denise, oh, you
I don't- I
do?
gotta-
Okay. So I'm gonna then have, because I have them in Phyllis's book that
Recommendation.
yeah, the recommendation. So it's basically, this is for the bylaws. I have an extra set.
Okay.
Don't want to make sure
Somebody was ringing a bell.
I did too.
bylaw.
Planning committee should go in here also, right?
Yes,
New packet we have.
so
So that, we put that together. I don't know that the board ever approved that.
yeah, the board never approved that
Our
to my
defining-
knowledge.
Yeah. We submitted it to the board, but I don't know
We
that it
got
ever got,
180 something votes on that. We did the grievance. stuff. We passed the grievance committee.
So the grievance committee didn't need to be passed.
We passed something with 186 people.
So,
We
and the
needed to
finance
get-
committee doesn't need to be passed either. Those are just, additional committees that technically the board president.
Didn't we need owner
But I
vote
have-
for the grievance committee?
Talking about the,
What
No,
did we run,
That's,
we got,
at this require,
Yeah,
they're
one thing,
required.
There you go.
Those are required.
I don't know, I'm looking for it.
we got something approved.
I don't know. We got, I don't know what we got approved, but those are things that are required by the state. But the board wanted, at that point, the board wanted us to come up with a thing that says, this is, this is what we see. We wrote this is what we wrote last year.
And I know we had an owner vote on something, and I don't remember what it was. I remember running around getting,
Yeah, so
helping
maybe
get,
we
keep
can
it signed.
maybe we talked to Scott about that.
Yeah, because I have seen nothing.
I don't
Um,
remember it happening either.
Yeah.
I remember giving it to the board and then someone saying to me, how come we're not doing this? And I'm like, I gave it to the board. That's all I can tell you.
Right. So that should be the Becker comment.
Perfect.
Was that regarding the windows or anything?
No, that was just
Because
regarding the.
that's the thing.
the finding.
I don't know what to do
So we're
because,
putting the window thing back up.
okay. So I guess unless anyone has any
Okay,
further
okay.
comments, someone motion that the meeting be adjourned.
You can motion and I'll second.
Okay, I motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I second.
Like they're,
Thank you all.
All right.
got that done, right?
Okay, thank you all.
So what do we